When you wear this, your body will transform into a beauty no man has ever seen. But remember, do not take off the underwear.
Before Sabrina could turn to ask the old woman what would happen if she removed it, the old woman vanished like smoke swallowed by the night. Sabrina stood there trembling, clutching the strange underwear in her hands. Her heart pounded not with excitement, but with fear. She had known suffering all her life, but magic? Magic was something told by old women near evening fires. But Sabrina's life had never been ordinary. She was born into a poor family in the quiet village of Ugbete. Everyone knew her, but never with kindness. Sabrina's body was thin like broomsticks, and her face, the villagers loved to whisper about it. See her face like God molded it in a hurry, they sneered. While other women in Ugbete had curves that danced like the rhythm of drums, Sabrina moved like a shadow carried by the wind, silent, unnoticed, unwanted. But hidden beneath all that mockery was a secret. Sabrina was born with a rare gift, a blessing she did not ask for, a blessing her mother whispered to her on her deathbed. Any man who married Sabrina would rise from nothing to great wealth and prosperity. But Sabrina never announced it. She wasn't looking for riches. She was looking for love, true love. A man who would not fear her face or her thin frame. A man who would choose her for her heart. But years passed. No man approached her. Even bachelors desperate for marriage avoided her like a curse. Some men even said openly, if Sabrina is the last woman on earth, I will remain single forever. They did not know that to marry Sabrina was to marry wealth itself. Sabrina accepted her fate quietly. She planted yams behind her hut. She fetched water from the river alone. She danced in her room to songs only her heart could hear. But she refused to lose hope. It was during the yam festival, colors everywhere, drums shaking the air, laughter filling the sky. Sabrina stood far from everyone, like she always did. It wasn't her choice. No one wanted to stand near her. While the women danced in circles, while the men boasted and laughed, Sabrina stood alone beside a dying bonfire, watching shadows move. Then, something happened. A young man began walking toward her. His name was Okezie, a handsome, gentle palm wine tapper known for his calm spirit and quiet strength. When the villagers saw him walking to Sabrina, they held their breath. Some nudged each other, some laughed, some whispered wicked things. But Okezie ignored all of them. Good evening, he said softly. Sabrina looked behind her to be sure he wasn't greeting someone else. Me? She asked. Yes, you. Those two words entered her heart like warm sunlight. They talked and talked and talked. Okezie did not look away from her. He did not laugh at her. He did not shift uncomfortably. He listened. For the first time, Sabrina felt seen. At the end of the festival, he walked her home, through the quiet path that led to the outskirts of the village where she lived. He insisted. I want to make sure you get home safely, he said. And from that night, everything changed. Every evening, just before dusk, Okezie would arrive carrying a small gourd of palm wine. Sabrina would bring out her carved wooden cups. They would sit outside under the orange sky, laughing, sharing stories, teasing each other. The friendship grew, the bond deepened, and slowly, gently, beautifully, love blossomed. True love, pure love, the kind Sabrina had waited her whole life for. Okezie loved her genuinely, not for beauty, not for wealth, not for what she could become. He loved her, her laughter, her quiet spirit, her strength, and Sabrina gave him the piece of her heart she had kept hidden for years. When they finally married, the villagers almost collapsed with shock. How can a man like Okezie choose Sabrina? What kind of charm did she use on him? This love cannot be ordinary. The whispers followed them everywhere. When they passed by, men shook their heads. Women hissed under their breath. Young girls mocked Sabrina openly, but Okezie held her hand tighter each time. And Sabrina, she smiled, because for once in her life, she had something no one could take from her: happiness. 2 months into the marriage, things began to change. Okezie's palm wine business suddenly exploded. Farmers from other villages came searching for him. People started buying in bulk. He became so wealthy that the villagers began to panic with jealousy. How can a common palm wine tapper become this rich? What is happening? Before long, they discovered Sabrina's secret. Now the same men who mocked her wanted her. The same men who refused to greet her now bowed before her. The same men who said they would rather remain single wished they could replace Okezie. But it was too late. Sabrina belonged to her true love. Then came the rainy night. The thunder cracked violently. The wind howled like angry spirits. Sabrina woke to find the door wide open. Okezie was gone. No footsteps, no struggle, no scream, no goodbye, just emptiness. Some villagers claimed spirits took him. Others said the gods were angry. Some whispered that jealousy had led to dark things. But Sabrina believed he was not dead. Her heart shattered into pieces too small to gather. After 2 lonely years without Okezie, Sabrina's life changed in a way no one in Ugbete had ever imagined. The same men who once swore they would rather remain single than marry her. The same men who mocked her face. The same men who laughed at her thin frame now lined up in front of her hut. They formed a queue that stretched past the old Udala tree. Men from neighboring villages traveled miles hoping to see her. Some wore their best wrappers. Some brought goats. Some brought yams. Some cried like babies, begging her to choose them. Sabrina had become the hottest cake in all of Ugbete. The beautiful maidens, those who once mocked her, watched with burning jealousy. They whispered behind her back, one day her secrets will come out. She must be using something to charm them. What does she have that we do not? Some even gathered courage, approached her, and asked, Sabrina, what are you using? Tell us your charm. But Sabrina only smiled, that gentle, quiet smile, and walked away without a word. They did not know the truth, that her blessing was a burden she never asked for, a gift the gods forced upon her, a gift that only brought her pain. Among all the men begging for her hand, one man stood out, Dele the fisherman, Dele the smooth talker, Dele, whose tongue was sweeter than ripe mango. He would sit beside her hut every evening, pretending to weep. He brought her roasted fish, fresh crabs, even small gifts carved from wood. Sabrina, he said one night, wiping fake tears, my heart beats only for you. Let me love you. Let me replace your sorrow with joy. Sabrina's heart was tired of loneliness, tired of being an object of mockery, tired of waiting for Okezie who never returned. So after many months of sweet words, after so much gentle attention, she agreed. She married Dele. Dele pretended to love her, pretended to cherish her, pretended she was his blessing from the gods. But once her gifts began to work, once fish overflowed his nets every morning, once money filled his pockets, once people started calling him the richest fisherman in 3 villages, his true nature came out. He stopped coming home early. He stopped eating her meals. He stopped sleeping beside her. Then one hot afternoon, the truth exploded through the village like fire. Dele had run off with a young woman from Ogbete town, a girl with round hips, glowing skin, and laughter like bells. He left Sabrina without a goodbye, without shame, without a single glance back. For the second time, Sabrina broke. Soon the whole region knew her story. If you want wealth, the villagers said, Marry Sabrina, but forget beauty, she has none. Men began to come not for love, not for companionship, not even for respect, but for quick riches. And one by one, she married them. Not because she wanted to, but because she was tired of being alone, tired of the mockery, tired of nights filled with silence and tears. And one by one, after her blessing, lifted them from poverty, after wealth kissed their lives, after their pockets grew heavy and their faces grew proud, they left her. Some ran away with prettier women. Some simply disappeared like Okezi. Some never returned home after tasting prosperity. Ugbete village began to whisper again, but this time with fear. There is something strange about her. Every man she marries becomes wealthy, then vanishes. Maybe she is cursed. Maybe she is a spirit. But the men kept coming. Some out of greed, some out of foolishness, some out of desperation. And every time Sabrina gained a husband, the village held its breath, waiting for the moment he would vanish. Her heart became a cracked calabash that could hold no joy. She stopped coming outside, stopped smiling, stopped believing she was worthy of love. Her heart became her hiding place, a silent grave where hope went to die. Some villagers pitied her, most mocked her. They called her the beautiful blessing wrapped in an ugly body. They whispered this as though it was a joke, but to Sabrina it was a knife. One night, when the moon hung low like a tired lantern, Sabrina wandered out of the village, ready to leave Ugbete forever. Her steps were slow and heavy, her eyes swollen with years of betrayal, her spirit tired of carrying a blessing that only brought her pain. On the narrow forest path, the path where spirits were said to walk, she met an old woman. The old woman's white hair flowed like river foam. Her eyes glowed with something ancient. She looked at Sabrina as though she had been waiting for her. "Child," the old woman said, "beauty has punished you long enough. Take this underwear. Wear it when the moon rises. You will become what the world respects." She stretched out her wrinkled hand, holding a strange underwear made of silk that shimmered like water. Sabrina hesitated, but something stronger than fear pushed her forward. She took it. The old woman leaned closer and whispered, "But remember, do not take off the underwear, not for any reason." Before Sabrina could turn to ask another question, the old woman vanished, like smoke swallowed by the night. Sabrina trembled, staring at the magical underwear. Her heart pounded with terror and hope. She had known suffering all her life. But magic? Magic was something told by old women near evening fires. Never something meant for her. Sabrina returned home quietly. That night, under the pale moonlight, she wore the underwear and slept. In the morning, life as she knew it ended. When she woke up, her skin blossomed like fresh yam tubers. Her shape curved like a goddess carved from pure light. Her face glowed like morning sun dancing on river water. She became a beauty no eye had ever seen. Even the birds outside her window gasped, their songs pausing in disbelief. The moment she stepped outside, the entire village stopped breathing. Men carrying firewood dropped them. Women pounding yam forgot to move. Children stood frozen mid-play. Some screamed, some fainted, all stared. The woman they once mocked, the woman they called ugly, the woman they avoided, now stood before them like a goddess descending from the sky. Sabrina was stunning beyond imagination. Suddenly, every man wanted her, not for wealth, not for blessings, but for her beauty. They brought yam tubers, they brought jewelry, they knelt, they begged. But Sabrina only smiled a small, secret smile, because the old woman's final words kept echoing. Beauty is a gift, but it always collects a price. And Sabrina knew this transformation had a dark secret, a cost she did not yet understand. But one thing was sure, this time, Sabrina would choose her destiny, not be used by it. The first man she agreed to marry was Chief Okeke, the richest man in Ugbete. He owned 10 plots of land. He had flocks of cows. He was the only man in the village who owned a car, and his mansion sat at the center of the village like a palace. Chief Okeke had always ignored her when she was thin and unwanted, but now he pursued her like a hunter chasing a rare animal. He said to himself, "If I marry her, my wealth will increase and I will marry the most beautiful woman in the village." He promised her everything: respect, protection, riches, anything she desired. Sabrina, tired of being alone, tired of men who only came for her blessing, chose him. For 2 months, the marriage seemed peaceful, but then everything changed. 2 months into their marriage, Chief Okeke's life flipped upside down like a canoe caught in a storm. His cows died one after another. His lands were taken by creditors. His business collapsed. His car broke down beyond repair. His wealth evaporated like dew under hot sun. Soon, feeding in his house became a struggle. Sabrina watched silently as the once proud chief became a shadow. One morning, the villagers awoke to a shocking sight. Chief Okeke, the wealthy man they once admired, now wandered around the village begging for food like a madman. Tattered clothes, dusty feet, wild eyes, begging for scraps. Ugbete gasped. People whispered, "What kind of beauty is this? Why did wealth leave him? What does Sabrina carry?" But Sabrina said nothing. She only watched because deep in her heart, she knew the price for her new beauty had just begun to reveal itself. Chief Okeke's fall spread through Ugbete like wildfire. Behind mud huts, under mango trees, beside evening fires, the villagers whispered with trembling voices, not with mockery this time, but with fear. "Her beauty destroys. Her blessing has turned to curse. What kind of woman is this?" But Sabrina remained silent. She watched the once mighty chief, a man who once dined with kings, a man whose footsteps once made men salute, now roamed the village barefoot. His wrapper hung on his waist like rags. Saliva gathered at the corners of his mouth. He begged for Gary like a madman who had forgotten yesterday's glory. Children threw stones at him. Women chased him away with brooms. Men shook their heads, whispering curses, but only Sabrina knew the truth. Chief Okeke's downfall began the moment he married her. The same blessing that made Okezie rise, the same gift that lifted Delhi before betrayal, had now twisted into something darker, something alive, something hungry, and in her heart, Sabrina knew the truth she feared to say. It was connected to the underwear she had been warned never to remove. Soon, Chief Okeke vanished. One morning, he simply walked out of Ugbete, and no one ever heard of him again. His disappearance added fuel to the fire. Yet, even with all this happening, the men still lined up to marry her. Some boasted, "Let me become rich first. Before her curse catches me, I will run away." Others said, "If we get wealth, is madness not a small price?" Greed is louder than fear. And so the line of men continued, day after day, year after year, until one fateful evening, a man walked into the village wearing a long white robe. The sun was low. The dust rose beneath his feet. His steps were slow, but his presence was powerful. The villagers gasped. Women covered their mouths. Men dropped their tools. Children hid behind their mothers. When he drew closer, the shock hit the entire square like thunder. It was Okezie, Sabrina's first love. The only man who had truly loved her, the only heart that ever chose her before beauty, wealth, or magic. He was alive. News traveled fast, running through the village faster than Harmattan fire. Sabrina heard it and bolted out of her hut, her wrapper flying behind her. When she reached the village square and saw him, her knees gave way. She fell at his feet, tears pouring down her face. You are alive," she sobbed. "I knew you were alive." Okezie lifted her gently. His hands trembled as they touched her face, the same face he had loved before the world ever saw beauty in it. "My Sabrina," he whispered, "I came back to you." He told the villagers his story. It was Dele, the fisherman, the man who betrayed Sabrina, who kidnapped him out of jealousy. Dele tied Okezie in the bush for months. He would have died there, but hunters from a neighboring village found him half conscious and saved his life. "I stayed away to heal and to stay safe," Okezie said, "but I could not hide forever. I had to come back to the only woman I have ever loved." Sabrina's heart trembled. She wanted to run into his arms and never let go, but she knew the truth. If she accepted Okezie, the curse would strike him too. He would become like the others, lost, broken, destroyed. And Sabrina would rather die than bring pain to the only man who had ever loved her. So she did the only thing she could. She returned to the forest, the place she first met the mysterious old woman. The wind was cold. The trees whispered secrets. And there, under the old Iroko tree, the old woman appeared again. Sabrina dropped to her knees, sobbing. "Please, take back the underwear. Take back this curse. My love has returned, and I do not want to destroy him." The old woman nodded slowly. "I knew this day would come," she said in a voice older than the earth. "The heart of men is wicked and selfish. Your beauty was given to punish the greedy, those who sought you not for love, but for gain." She touched Sabrina's shoulder gently. "But the one who truly loves you has returned, so the curse has fulfilled its purpose." She pointed to Sabrina's waist. "Go home, remove the underwear, burn it. Tonight, your suffering ends." Sabrina wept with gratitude. She thanked the old woman and ran home faster than she had ever moved in her life. She removed the underwear, the cursed beauty, the gift that had destroyed lives, and threw it into the fire. The flames swallowed it in seconds, and in the blink of an eye, her body shifted. The glowing skin vanished. The curves melted away. The goddess beauty dissolved. She became Sabrina again, the thin girl with gentle eyes and the heart that loved too deeply. When she stepped outside, Okezie stood waiting. He opened his arms. She walked into them, and for the first time in her life, Sabrina felt safe. They married quietly, without crowds, without gifts, without the noise of the world. And together, hand in hand, heart in heart, they lived happily ever after. The end.